1. Why does a vet tech need to know pharmacology? A vet tech needs to know pharmacology to serve patients, clients, and the public by ensuring safe and effective medication administration, understanding potential side effects, and providing accurate information to clients. 2. 4 crucial rules for safe drug usage. The 4 rules are: 1. Use the right drug. 2. Use the right dose. 3. Use the right route. 4. Use the right patient. 3. Drug names. Chemical name describes the drug's chemical structure. Non-proprietary generic name. Official name of the drug. Proprietary trade brand name assigned by the manufacturer. Example: aspirin, generic versus Bayer brand. Or OTC versus legend drug. OTC, over the counter. Available without a prescription. Legend drug, prescription only, requires a veterinarian's approval. 5. Dosage forms: solid, tablets, capsules, caplets, liquids, solutions, suspensions, syrups, semi-solid, ointments, creams. 6. Caplet shape: enteric coating, SR drugs. Caplets shaped for easy swallowing. Enteric coating protects stomach, releases drug in intestines. SR sustained release, releases drugs slowly over time. 7. Suspensions versus solutions. Suspensions: particles settle, need shaking. Solutions: dissolved particles, no shaking needed. 8. Sugar-free syrups in dogs. Some sugar-free syrups contain xylitol, toxic to dogs. 9. Reliable drug info sources: veterinary textbooks, drug labels, online databases, e.g. Plavis, manufacturer websites. 10. Extra label drug use: ELDU, LDU, using a drug off label, not approved for specific species, dose, etc. Needs control to protect public health and animal welfare. 11. Drug label info: active ingredients, indications, dosage, warnings, contraindications. 12. Precautions, warnings, contraindications, precautions, potential risks, warnings, serious risks, contraindications, situations where drugs shouldn't be used. 13. Acceptable ELDU criteria: valid VCPR, veterinarian client-patient relationship, no approved alternative, extended withdrawal times. 14. FDA versus EPA regulation: FDA animal drugs, food additives, EPA pesticides, environmental products. 15. Reporting ADRs, adverse drug reactions, contact manufacturer or FDA. Provide detailed info: drug, dose, reaction, patient info. Let's go through the key terms with explanations. I'll provide the term definition and a brief explanation. Quad 1, active ingredient definition: the component of a drug that produces the intended therapeutic effect. Explanation: this is the main ingredient that makes the drug work. 2. Adverse drug reaction, ADR. Definition: an unwanted or unexpected reaction to a medication. Explanation: this can range from mild to severe and is a significant concern in veterinary medicine. 3. Animal Medicinal Drug Use Clarification Act of 1994, AMDUCA. Definition: a law allowing veterinarians to use approved animal and human drugs in an extra label manner. Explanation: this law helps veterinarians provide necessary treatment when an approved drug isn't available. 4. Ampules. Definition: small sealed glass containers for injectable medications. Explanation: these are used for single-dose administration and are often used in emergency situations. 5. Aqueous solution. Definition: a solution where the solvent is water. Explanation: this is a common dosage form for many medications. 6. Bioequivalence. Definition: the property of two drugs having the same bioavailability and efficacy. Explanation: generic drugs must demonstrate bioequivalence to brand name drugs. 7. Black box warning. Box warning. Definition: a warning highlighting serious risks or adverse reactions associated with a drug. Explanation: this is the strongest warning required by the FDA. 8. Brand name. Definition: the proprietary name assigned to a drug by its manufacturer. Explanation: this is often more recognizable than the generic name. 9. Caplet. Definition: a solid dosage form, often coated, designed for easy swallowing. Explanation: similar to a tablet, but often easier to swallow. 10. Capsules. Definition: solid dosage forms with the drug enclosed in a gelatin shell. Explanation: these can be easier to administer to animals. 11. Chemical name. Definition: the name describing a drug's chemical structure. Explanation: this is often complex and not commonly used. 12. Clinical pharmacology. Definition: the study of a drug's effects in humans and animals. Explanation: this helps understand how a drug works and its potential side effects. 13. Contraindications. Definition: situations where a drug should not be used. Explanation: this is crucial for safe medication administration. 14. Controlled release coatings. Definition: special coatings designed to release a drug slowly over time. Explanation: this can improve efficacy and reduce side effects. 15. Controlled substance. Definition: a drug with potential for abuse or dependence. Explanation: these are regulated by law. 16. Creams. Definition: semi-solid dosage forms for topical application. Explanation: these are often used for skin conditions. 17. Depot forms. Definition: long-acting injectable dosage forms. Explanation: these release the drug slowly over time. 18. Dosage form. Definition: the physical form of a medication, e.g. tablet, capsule, solution. Explanation: this affects how the drug is administered. 19. Drug formularies. Definition: lists of approved medications. Explanation. These are used by veterinarians and pharmacies. 20. Drug insert, package insert. Definition. Information provided with a medication. Explanation. This includes dosing, side effects, and warnings. 21. Elixirs. Definition. Sweetened, flavored liquid dosage forms. Explanation. These are often used for pediatric or geriatric patients. 22. Emulsion. Definition. A mixture of two immiscible liquids. Explanation. These are often used for topical or injectable medications. 23. Enteric coating. Definition. A coating protecting the stomach, releasing the drug in the intestines. Explanation. This reduces stomach irritation and improves absorption. 24. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Definition. The agency regulating pesticides and environmental products. Explanation. This agency oversees products affecting the environment. 25. Excipients. Definition. Inactive ingredients added to a medication. Explanation. These provide bulk, stability, or flavor. 26. Extract. Definition. A concentrated form of a drug. Explanation. This is often used in herbal or natural products. 27. Extra label drug use, ELDU. Definition. Using a drug in a manner not approved by the FDA. Explanation. This requires a valid VCPR and careful monitoring. 28. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Definition. The agency regulating animal and human drugs. Explanation. This agency ensures safe and effective medications. 29. Gelcaps. Definition. Soft gelatin capsules containing a liquid or semi-solid medication. Explanation. These are often easier to swallow. 30. Gels. Definition. Semi-solid dosage forms. Explanation. These are often used for topical application. 31. Generic equivalent. Definition. A drug with the same active ingredient as a brand name drug. Explanation. These are often more affordable. 32. Generic name. Definition. The official name of a drug. Explanation. This is often used in scientific literature. 33. Implants. Definition. Small sterile devices inserted under the skin. Explanation. These release medication over time. 34. Indication. Definition. The approved use for a medication. Explanation. This is based on safety and efficacy data. 35. Inert ingredients. Definition. Components of a medication with no therapeutic effect. Explanation. These provide bulk, stability, or flavor. 36. Injectable dosage forms. Definition. Medications administered via injection. Explanation. These are often used for rapid effect. 37. Insoluble. Definition. Unable to be dissolved. Explanation. This affects drug absorption and efficacy. 38. Label information. Definition. Information provided with a medication. Explanation. This includes dosing, side effects, and warnings. 39. Legend drugs. Definition. Prescription-only medications. Explanation. These require a veterinarian's approval. 40. Liniments. Definition. Liquid dosage forms for topical application. Explanation. These are often used for muscle or joint pain. 41. Liquid dosage forms. Definition. Medications in a liquid state. Explanation. These can be easier to administer. 42. Lotions. Definition. Liquid dosage forms for topical application. Explanation. These are often used for skin conditions. 43. Lozenges. Definition. Solid dosage forms designed to dissolve in the mouth. Explanation. These are often used for local anesthetic or antibacterial effects. 44. Medium. Definition. The substance a drug is dissolved or dispersed in. Explanation. This affects drug absorption and efficacy. 45. Molded tablets. Definition. Tablets formed by compressing a powder. Explanation. These are often used for oral administration. 46. Multi-dose vials. Definition. Containers holding multiple doses of a medication. Explanation. These require careful handling to prevent contamination. 47. Non-proprietary name. Definition. The official name of a drug. Explanation. This is often used in scientific literature. 48. Off-label use. Definition. Using a drug in a manner not approved by the FDA. Explanation. This requires a valid VCPR and careful monitoring. 49. Ointments. Definition. Semi-solid dosage forms for topical application. Explanation. These are often used for skin conditions. 50. Over-the-counter. OTC. Definition. Medications available without a prescription. Explanation. These are often used for minor conditions. 51. Package insert. Definition. Information provided with the medication. Explanation. This includes dosing, side effects, and warnings. 52. Pastes. Definition. Semi-solid dosage forms. Explanation. These are often used for topical application. 53. Pharmacology. Definition. The study of drugs and their effects. Explanation. This is crucial for safe and effective medication use. 54. Precaution. Definition. A warning highlighting potential risks. Explanation. This helps veterinarians and clients make informed decisions. 55. Proprietary name. Definition. The brand name assigned to a drug by its manufacturer. Explanation. This is often more recognizable than the generic name. 56. Repository dosage form. Definition. A long-acting injectable dosage form. Explanation. This releases the drug slowly over time. 57. Rx symbol. Definition. A symbol indicating a prescription medication. Explanation. This is often used on prescriptions and labels. 58. Scheduled drug. Definition. A controlled substance with potential for abuse. Explanation. These are regulated by law. 59. Semi-solid dosage forms, definition, medications with a semi-solid consistency, explanation, these are often used for topical application. 60, side effect, definition, an unwanted or unexpected reaction to a medication, explanation, this can range from mild to severe. 61, single dose vials, definition, containers holding a single dose of a medication, explanation, these are often used for injectable medications. 62, solid dosage form, definition, medications in a solid state, explanation, these are often used for oral administration. 63, soluble, definition, able to be dissolved, explanation, this affects drug absorption and efficacy. 64, solution, definition, a liquid dosage form where the drug is dissolved, explanation, this is often used for injectable medications. 65, the suppositories, definition, solid dosage forms inserted into a body orifice, explanation, these are often used for local or systemic effects. 66, suspension, definition, a liquid dosage form where the drug is dispersed, explanation, these require shaking before administration. 67, sustained release, SR drugs, definition, medications designed to release slowly over time, explanation, this can improve efficacy and reduce side effects. 68, syrups, definition, sweetened, flavored liquid dosage forms, explanation, these are often used for pediatric or geriatric patients. 69, tablets, definition, solid dosage forms, explanation, these are often used for oral administration. 70, tablets, definition, solid dosage forms, explanation, these are often used for oral administration. 71, therapeutics, definition, the study of treating diseases with medications, explanation, this is a crucial part of veterinary medicine. 72, tinctures, definition, liquid dosage forms often containing alcohol, explanation, these are often used for topical application. 73, trademark, TM, definition, a symbol indicating a registered brand name, explanation, this protects the manufacturer's brand identity. 74, trade name, definition, the proprietary name assigned to a drug by its manufacturer, explanation, this is often more recognizable than the generic name. 75, troche, definition, a solid dosage form designed to dissolve in the mouth, explanation, these are often used for local anesthetic or antibacterial effects. 76, United States adopted names, USAN Council, definition, an organization responsible for assigning generic names to drugs, explanation, this ensures consistency in naming conventions. 77, United States Pharmacopeia, USP, definition, a publication listing standards for medications, explanation, this is a trusted resource for veterinarians and pharmacists. 78, veterinarian client-patient relationship, VCPR, definition, a relationship required for extra-label drug use. Explanation, this ensures the veterinarian is familiar with the patient's condition. 79, warning, definition, a statement highlighting serious risks or adverse reactions, explanation, this is often used in conjunction with precautions. 80, withdrawal time period, definition, the time required for a drug to be eliminated from an animal's system, explanation, this ensures food safety and prevents residue in animal products. 81, xylitol, definition, a sugar substitute toxic to dogs, explanation, this is often used in sugar-free products and can be fatal if ingested. Role and responsibilities of today's veterinary technician and technologist. Today's veterinary technician is a professional and as such has the responsibility to understand the reasons and the expected outcomes for the treatments he or she performs. Today's veterinary technician is more than a skilled set of hands. Today's veterinary technician must know how to meet her patient's needs, to critically evaluate, problem solve, think, and adapt to his Pete Bill DVM PhD during a panel presentation on the topic of veterinary technician and paraprofessional utilization at the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges meeting, Washington, D.C. Veterinary medicine as a whole continues to become more sophisticated across diagnostics, mechanisms of disease, surgery, and therapeutics. Accordingly, veterinary technicians in veterinary medicine than they were 10 years ago. Although technicians are still legally prohibited from making diagnoses, performing surgeries, rendering prognoses, and prescribing treatments, today's veterinary technician has the responsibility to understand why the diagnosis was made, why the surgery was performed, why the prognosis was rendered, and why the treatment was prescribed. Myths and misconceptions. Being a great veterinary technician requires being really good at technical skills. False. To be a really great veterinary technician requires having good technical skills and a strong understanding of the science and medicine behind the nursing and technical skills. Why is pharmacology important for veterinary technicians? Pharmacology is the study of how drugs behave in the body. Applying pharmacology to specific treatments is called clinical pharmacology or therapeutics. To be effective as a contributing member of the veterinary team, veterinary technicians should know more than just the names of medications or the route by which the drugs are administered. They must understand the why behind the clinical pharmacology and therapeutics of the medications they are giving to better protect and serve the nursing needs of their patients. Knowledge of how drugs change physiology, how the drug's beneficial effect alters the patient's clinical signs, and how adverse drug reactions, ADRs, will appear in patients is an important subset of veterinary nursing knowledge. This knowledge distinguishes well-educated veterinary technicians and technologists from individuals who have largely learned their nursing skills through an apprenticeship model of education. For example, a veterinary technician with in-depth knowledge of anesthetic drugs will be able to more accurately evaluate and anesthetize patient status. They can determine whether there is an abnormal physiologic response to the anesthetic drug and then appropriately correct the anesthetic administration to avert an anesthetic crisis. A veterinary technician with a good understanding of how antibiotics, anti-inflammatories, or other drugs affect the body's physiology can more quickly identify a potentially severe drug side effect in a hospitalized patient. Finally, a deeper understanding of the pharmacology of dispensed medications will allow the veterinary technician to identify clues in a pet owner's casual comments that might indicate the early appearance of an unexpected change in the patient's response to the drug. By having a strong working knowledge of how drugs affect the body in all of these situations, the veterinary technician can alert the veterinarian to potential patient/drug problems at an earlier stage and thus increase the chances of successfully reversing or avoiding the drug's side effects. Understanding veterinary pharmacology will also provide veterinary technicians with a more medically correct understanding of veterinary drug-related problems or animal-related issues that appear in the popular press, on television, or on the internet. For example, the link between veterinary drug residues in livestock meat, milk, or eggs used for human consumption and the development of bacterial resistance to human antibiotics is often surrounded by a cloud of information that may not be entirely correct. Many television newscasts or internet postings reduce these complex issues to audience capturing sound bites or headlines, resulting in public misinformation or fear. A veterinary technician who is well informed about the science behind the issue can be the voice of reason that counters the unfounded rumors or misconceptions with medical facts. Thus, one of the primary goals of this textbook is to help veterinary technicians and technology students become familiar with the why behind veterinary clinical pharmacology so they can better serve the needs of their patients, the veterinary team, and the general public. 4 rules to live by for safe drug usage. Rule number 1, all drugs are poisons. Every drug is a poison. Every drug administered has the potential to save a life or to take a life. The only difference between whether a drug kills or saves life is often the way in which the drug is administered. For example, arsenic is generally recognized as a deadly poison. But small amounts of arsenic compounds are used to safely treat heartworm disease in dogs. Likewise, drugs that might otherwise devastate an animal's or person's bone marrow production of cells critical to life can also be used successfully to kill deadly cancer cells. Even common drugs found in almost every household can be beneficial or deadly depending on their administration. For example, the drug acetaminophen is safe for use in human beings, is moderately tolerated by dogs, but can easily kill a cat. Thus, the selection, the amount, or the method of administration of a medication can potentially determine whether a drug cures or kills. Rule number 2, no drug is a silver bullet. Drugs are not silver bullets that magically seek out and destroy a disease or miraculously correct a clinical condition. Drugs work by altering the normal physiology. Every drug has physiologic effects on the body other than the intended beneficial effect for which the drug was used. Effective use of drugs involves knowing how to maximize the beneficial changes while minimizing the bad physiologic effects. The drug alteration of normal physiology is often complicated by the physiological alterations caused by the disease process, the animal's gender, species, breed, or age. In other words, appropriate administration of drugs requires the veterinarian and the veterinary technician to understand the individual patient's particular physiology and its complex interactions among the drug effect, the disease effect, and the individual genetic or environmental variables. Thus, no drug is a silver bullet that will always behave in the same way for the same disease in all animals. Rule number 3, all doses are guesses. The dosage in the manufacturer's drug information is an estimation of the actual amount of drug a specific patient will need for a particular disease. Because of the physiologic variables stated in rule number 2, the dose calculated for any particular patient is actually a scientific guess based on how the population of animals is supposed to behave when given the drug. Granted, the guess is probably very good, because the dosage was determined from clinical trials done in large numbers of animals to represent the entire population of similar animals. Although the actual dosage constitutes the amount of drug needed for the majority of animals of that breed with that particular disease. If the individual patient has genetic characteristics, physiologic changes caused by disease, or environmental factors that were not found in the majority of animals, the resulting dose could be too much or too little for this particular patient. Thus, the veterinary professional must always consider these factors and modify the dose as needed to match the specific physiologic needs of the patient. Myths and misconceptions. All drug dosages used in veterinary medicine are based on controlled scientific trials and medical evidence specifically for veterinary patients. False. Although dosages approved by the FDA or other drug regulatory agencies in countries outside of the United States are based on clinical trials and protocols required for drug approval, many of the dosages reported in case studies or textbooks are based on the clinician's personal experience or generally accepted standards of treatment based in part on anecdotal evidence. With the increasing emphasis on evidence-based medicine, many older drug dosages are being re-examined to determine whether there is scientific validity for the recommended dosage. In some cases, this re-examination has led to changes in recommended dosages. The veterinary technician needs to keep up to date on current drug dosages to ensure that the patient receiving the drug is receiving the appropriate amount of medication for the condition. Rule number 4, complacency kills. Veterinary practices often use the same relatively small group of drugs over and over on most of their patients. With repeated successful use of these drugs, a natural complacency about the drug's potential to harm can develop. Unfortunately, this expectation for safe and beneficial effects on 100% of the patients means that the veterinarian administering the drug or the veterinary technician monitoring the treated animal may forget rules number 1, number 2, and 3 mentioned earlier. When these rules are forgotten and vigilance for adverse effects decreases, the clinical signs of an adverse drug effect may be overlooked until significant damage to the patient has occurred. Thus, by remembering that all drugs are poisons all the time, that no drug truly behaves the same way in any two patients, and that all doses we give are approximations, complacency can be held in check and vigilance for adverse drug effects maintained. Learning the vocabulary terminology used to describe therapeutic agents. Drug names. Drugs are generally referred to by 3 different names. Fig. 1. The chemical name, such as D-aminopyhydroxybenzyl penicillin trihydrate, describes the chemical composition or molecular structure of a drug, in this case amoxicillin, and is used by chemists and pharmacologists, but is of little practical use for the veterinary professional. The non-proprietary name, also called the generic name, is a more concise name given to the specific chemical compound. Examples of non-proprietary names include aspirin, acetaminophen, and amoxicillin are compounds produced by many different drug manufacturers. The non-proprietary names are also listed as the active ingredients on drug labels. In contrast to non-proprietary names, the proprietary name, trade name, or brand name is a unique name that a manufacturer gives to its particular brand of a drug. For example, one manufacturer may produce amoxicillin under the trade name Amoxitabs, but another manufacturer produces its own brand, as certain trade names are so well integrated into our veterinary medical culture that they are often erroneously used to describe or represent medications produced by other drug companies. For example, it is common to hear the trade name Tylenol used for any acetaminophen product, the trade name Lasix used for furosemide products, and the trade name Valium for any diazepam tranquilizer. Because trade names are proper nouns, their first letter is capitalized like other proper nouns, e.g., Mary, Indiana, or Chicago. The trade names are followed by the marks, and to signify that the trade name is a registered trademark and cannot legally be used by other manufacturers. Ask Dr. Bill. Question. Dr. Bill, how do they come up with all those strange names for drugs? Answer. When drug companies patent a new drug, they have to first come up with a generic name. There are some rules and conventions for naming generic drugs based on the drug group to which the drug belongs. A drug company with a new drug can submit up to 3 possible generic names to the United States Adopted Names (USAN) Council, which is the body that selects generic drug names. Any USAN Council name must be checked with the World Health Organization (WHO) to make sure the selected name is not too similar to another drug name used in another country. Estimates vary, but it is generally accepted that thousands of people are injured or die from the wrong drug being administered because the drug's name is too similar to another drug. Trade names are created by marketing agencies, but still have to be approved by the USAN Council and must be approved by the FDA's Office of Post-Marketing Drug Risk Assessment to make sure that the trade name does not sound like any other trade name and that the trade name does not try to convey what the drug claims to do. Thus, there will be no goes to sleep aid. Here are a couple of other points cited in an article from the Stanford Medicine Magazine, June 7, 2005. Generic drug names do not begin with letters H, J, K, or W because those letters do not exist in some of the countries that use U.S. generic names or have different sounds in different languages. The USN Council will no longer approve generic names starting with X or Z because these letters sound alike when used at the beginning of drug names. Marketing agencies love the letter X in their drug trade names. It makes the drug name sound technical. Marketing agencies feel that the letters X, F, S, or Z are thought to convey speed. The letters P, T, or D imply power. For additional information about the screening process by which the FDA reviews drug names, go to the FDA website, www.fdagov, and use their search engine to find drug names. Take two whatchamacallits and call me in the morning. Stanford Medicine Magazine, June 7th, 2005. Types of drug names, chemical name, amino hydroxybenzyl penicillin trihydrate, phenoxyphenyl methyl cis, trans 3,2,2-dichloroethenyl 2,2-dimethylcyclopropane carboxylate, deal-2-ochlorophenyl 2, methylaminocyclohexanone hydrochloride, non-proprietary name, amoxicillin, permethrin insecticide, ketamine hydrochloride, proprietary trade name, amoxidrop, Biomox, Robomoxville, Atrobanner, Defend, Fly Sector, Ketaset, Vitalur. Note that some generic brand drugs do not have a specific trade name, but simply use the non-proprietary name or the active ingredient on their label, as seen in Fig 12. This is common with older drugs such as aspirin, penicillin, or prednisone, which have been produced by many drug manufacturers and for which a unique trade name provides no advantage in marketing the drug. Generic equivalence. When a drug company develops a new drug, obtains the patents, and completes all of the extensive testing required to obtain Food and Drug Administration (FDA) approval to market the new drug, that company has the exclusive rights to manufacture this drug for several years. During that time, no other drug manufacturer could produce the same drug. In the United States, this exclusive protection of manufacturing rights extends 20 years from when the patent for the drug was approved. However, the approval of the patent typically occurs several years before the drug actually reaches the market. Thus, the effective time for which the company has exclusive rights to manufacture the drug is typically 7 to 12 years after the drug has been released to market. This period of exclusive manufacturing theoretically allows the original parent drug company to recover the costs of the research, development, and testing required to bring the drug to market. After the exclusive manufacturing rights expire, other companies are then permitted to produce the drug. Drugs produced or marketed by companies other than the original brand developer are called generic equivalent drugs because they have active ingredients equivalent to those of the original compound but are not produced by the original manufacturer. Generic equivalents are usually sold at a much lower price than the original manufacturer's product because the generic drug producer did not have to underwrite the original drug development, testing, and marketing costs of the parent or brand drug. Typically, when generic versions of drugs become available, the market economics drive down the cost for both the original brand drug and the generic versions. Ask Dieter. Bill. Question. Dr. Bill, are generic brand drugs as good as the original parent company drug? Answer. As a general rule, generic drugs are equivalent drugs and are as effective as the original patented compound. However, the claim by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, that generic drugs must be identical to the original brand or parent drug is a legal description and not necessarily a literal interpretation. Instead, the FDA requires generics to be 80%, 125% bioequivalent to the original brand compound. Bioequivalence is defined by the FDA as meaning that an equivalent amount of a generic drug, active ingredient, is absorbed and delivered to the target site within the body compared with the original brand or parent drug. Like the parent compound, generic drugs must be approved by the FDA before they can be marketed. Generic equivalents contain the same amount of the active ingredient, are bioequivalent, and in the case of drugs used in food animals or food products, eggs and milk, the amount of drug residue left in tissues or food products is no more than the residues left by the original parent drug. Generic equivalents may have different salts or molecules added to the active ingredient to enhance administration or absorption of the drug, but the drug must still behave equivalently to the parent compound to be considered bioequivalent and hence approved as a generic equivalent drug. Now, let's address some common myths. All drug dosages in veterinary medicine are based on controlled scientific trials. However, individual patients can respond differently due to genetic or environmental factors. Rule 3, all doses are guesses. Dosages are educated estimates based on clinical trials. Rule 1, all drugs are poisons. Every drug is a poison, and every drug has the potential to save a life or take a life. Rule 2, no drug is a silver bullet. Drugs aren't magic solutions that fix everything. To ensure safe drug usage, it's crucial to understand the pharmacology and potential interactions of each drug. Consider individual patient factors such as age, breed, and disease. Monitor patients closely and adjust dosages as needed. Stay up to date with current research and recommendations. By following these principles, we can provide the best possible care for our patients and minimize risks associated with medication. As we explore the world of pharmaceuticals, let's start with 4 fundamental rules to live by. Similarly, acetaminophen is safe for humans but toxic to cats. Let's work together to promote safe and effective drug usage in veterinary medicine. They alter normal physiology, and their effects can be influenced by factors like age, breed, and disease. False! Many dosages are based on personal experience or anecdotal evidence. With the growing emphasis on evidence-based medicine, dosages are being re-examined and recommendations are changing. Effective use requires understanding the benefits and risks, as well as the complex interactions between the drug, disease, and individual patient. As veterinary professionals, we must consider these factors and adjust dosages accordingly. The key is understanding the dosage and administration. Welcome, everyone, to today's lecture on safe drug usage in veterinary medicine. Think of arsenic, a deadly poison, yet it's used to treat heartworm disease in dogs. The difference between cure and harm lies in the way the drug is administered. Ask Dr. Bill. Question: Dr. Bill, why is it that some veterinary products I get from my veterinarian, especially flea products, are also sold at grocery stores, farm supply stores, and drug stores as OTC products? Aren't they also legend products and hence only available by prescription? Answer: the FOA, as the name implies, is charged with regulating and maintaining the safety of food products, drugs, blood products, biologics, AG vaccines, and medical devices. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has responsibility for pesticides as part of its charge to protect the environment. Flea and tick products are applied to the surface of the skin, and hair applied topically are considered pesticides and hence regulated by the EPA. EPA products do not require a prescription to be dispensed or obtained by the public, although stronger pesticides can only be used by certified pest control operators. Therefore, almost all of the flea powders, tick collars, insect dips, some spot-on applications, and other topically applied applications can be dispensed OTC and thus are found in your local grocery store. Many drug companies will only sell their veterinary topical OTC flea and tick medications to veterinarians to sell to their clients. This practice allows the veterinary staff to provide appropriate product education to the client for appropriate product utilization. Note, however, that if an insecticide is administered internally, e.g., some orally administered heartworm preventatives like HeartGuard TM, or is applied topically and then absorbed into the body, e.g., topical deworming or heartworm medications like Revolution TM, then this product would be considered a drug. It would be regulated by the FDA and in most cases would be classified as a veterinary legend drug and thus only available by prescription from a licensed veterinarian. The dosage form. Another way drugs are described is by their dosage form. A drug's dosage form is the description of its physical appearance and is typically included in the drug's description in the package insert and the drug label. Examples of dosage forms include solid dosage forms like tablets or capsules, liquid dosage forms like syrups, suspensions, or liniments, and a variety of semi-solid dosage forms that do not easily fit the solid or liquid categories such as gels, ointments, creams, and pastes. Solid dosage forms. Tablets are created by compressing powdered active ingredients and other inert ingredients called excipients together to form disc-shaped dosage forms, figure 13. Excipients help the tablet perform as it is intended and may include binders to hold the tablet together, disintegrants to make the tablet break up more easily, diluents to fill up the bulk of the tablet not occupied by the active ingredient, flavoring agents, or even colors to make the dosage form distinctive or identifiable. E.g., red tablets may be 100 milligrams of drug, but blue tablets may be 200 milligrams of drug. Tablets are not the same as pills. Myths and misconceptions. The disc-shaped dosage forms commonly used as oral medications in veterinary medicine are pills. False! Although tablets are commonly called pills by non-professionals, a pill describes an ancient dosage form made by rolling a soft mass of active ingredients into a spherical shape. The veterinary technician should always use professional language when communicating dosage forms. Sometimes tablets are pressed into an oblong or elongated dosage form roughly similar in shape to a capsule. Because these dosage forms are solid like a tablet but shaped like a capsule, this dosage form is referred to as a caplet. The idea behind the elongated form is to facilitate swallowing of the dosage form when it aligns with the esophagus at the back of the throat, figure 1.4. Tablets or caplets may have a mark across them scoring to help break the dosage form into halves or, less frequently, quarters. As a general rule, tablets used in veterinary medicine are rarely broken into anything less than halves unless a human formulation of a drug is used in a small veterinary patient and requires quartering to provide the appropriate dose of the drug. Tablets or caplets without scoring should typically not be split. Molded tablets are also called chewable tablets and consist of the active ingredient drug in powdered form mixed with lactose, sucrose, or dextrose and a flavoring agent to encourage the patient to chew the soft tablet. Examples of molded tablets include chewable vitamins, chewable heartworm preventives, and chewable anti-inflammatory drugs, figure 1 and 5. Extracts. In addition to the drug names listed earlier, a drug may be called an extract, a term that describes where the drug came from. An extract is a therapeutic agent composed of specially prepared plant or animal parts rather than synthesized chemicals in a laboratory. Examples of extracts include thyroid supplements made from pig or cattle, thyroid glands, and pancreatic enzyme powder extract derived from prepared livestock pancreas. Many health food stores sell extracts and other plant materials for a wide variety of purposes. Veterinary extract products made by major drug manufacturers must produce reasonably consistent effects from bottle to bottle to be approved by the FDA. However, extracts marketed as nutraceuticals, nutritional supplements, are not required to be registered with the FDA, and the potency of different batches of drug extract may vary as a result of variation in the amounts of extracted natural drug contained in the plant or animal part. Although extracts are often less expensive to purchase, they may not provide as consistent a clinical response to the active ingredient of the drug as a compound developed by conventional manufacturing processes. Legend drugs versus over-the-counter drugs. A trip down the aisle at the drugstore reveals that drugs for headaches, coughs, colds, flu, or diarrhea are available for anyone to purchase without a prescription from a doctor or veterinarian. Such medications are referred to as over-the-counter OTC drugs. These drugs typically contain either an ingredient that is very safe to use or such low concentrations of an active ingredient that it is difficult to accidentally use the drug in a harmful way. Examples of OTC drugs in veterinary medicine include pet vitamins, flea products for use on the surface of the skin, and dietary supplements. Most veterinary drugs used to treat or prevent disease are legend drugs, meaning that they are limited to dispensing by or on the order of a licensed prescriber, veterinarian, or physician. Legend drugs contain ingredients that require greater control of dispensing, either because of their toxic effects, potential to be abused or diverted as an illegal substance, or potential to harm the patient or the person handling the drug. Each state or Canadian province regulates control over the prescription of legend drugs. Generally, however, legend drugs cannot be dispensed to a client or animal owner without a valid prescription written for an animal for which a valid veterinarian client-patient relationship, VCPR, has been established. Legally, a VCPR means that the veterinarian has examined or has adequate medical knowledge of the patient and has agreed to assume responsibility for the veterinary care of the patient. Thus, it is against the law for a veterinarian to prescribe medication for a patient he or she has not seen. If the veterinarian orders legend medication to be dispensed from his or her own veterinary hospital, the veterinarian or veterinary technician may legally fill this drug order in that same hospital. It would not technically be called a prescription in this case. However, it is illegal for a veterinary technician or veterinarian to fill a prescription from another veterinary practice because that would be considered the definition of pharmacy practice and hence is limited to regulated pharmacies and registered pharmacists. More information on prescriptions and drug orders is in Chapter 2. Tablets are often coated after being compressed. Although sugar coating was commonly used in the past, today's coatings are more sophisticated polymers and complex sugar molecules and are used to protect the tablet from breaking apart during shipping or storage, to cover up an unpleasant taste of the active ingredient, to provide a smoother finish for easier swallowing, to protect the underlying tablet from disintegration from absorption of moisture, or even to protect light-sensitive drugs from degradation caused by light. The coloring of the tablet coating also allows drug manufacturers to make the tablet distinctive. The drug manufacturer may also print identification numbers or other markings on the tablet coating. There are two special coatings, enteric coating and controlled release coating. Enteric coating is designed to protect the active ingredient from the harsh acidic environment of the stomach by not allowing the tablet to dissolve until it reaches the more alkaline environment of the small intestine, Fig 16. Controlled release coatings slow the rate at which the tablet dissolves as the tablet moves along the intestinal tract, resulting in a more gradual and sustained release of the active ingredient as opposed to being released all at once. Such controlled release coated drugs are also referred to as sustained release SR drugs. The SR properties of the drug may be a result of the coating, the construction of the entire solid dosage form, or a combination of both. SR drugs are sometimes identified in the proprietary trade name with an SR designation to distinguish the drug from the normal release dosage form. Delayed release and extended release are other controlled release dosage forms. Important note, enteric coated or controlled release coated tablets should not be split because this ruins the function of the special tablet coating. One of the disadvantages of using a human SR tablet in a veterinary patient is that the human SR drug is designed to be released over the length of the human gastrointestinal GI tract, and dog and cat GI tracts are shorter than the human GI tract. A medium-sized dog's tract is around 13 feet, 39 meters long, and a cat's tracts are typically about 5-6 feet to about 17 meters long compared to 22 feet, 7 meters for the average human GI tract. Thus, SR tablets designed to dissolve in the longer human GI tract may not dissolve completely in a dog or cat before they pass out in the feces. Gel caps or capsules are a powdered drug surrounded by a capsule made of gelatin, modified starch, or cellulose, Fig 17. Just like with tablets, the capsule itself can be modified to make it harder, softer, more stable, more readily dissolvable, colored, or lubricated for easier swallowing. Although popular for use in human patients, capsules are less popular with veterinary patients because they may stick to the surface of the mouth when administered, making it easier for the animal to spit out the capsule or chew it to release the powdered contents in the mouth. The lozenge or troche, pronounced TROH dosage form, incorporates the drug into a hard, candy-like tablet like those found in human cough drops, throat lozenges for sore throat, or some breath mints. Because veterinary patients never hold these dosage forms in their mouths long enough to receive the beneficial effect, they are not used in veterinary medicine. Although most solid dosage forms are associated with oral administration of drugs, many forms are also formulated to be used as suppositories. Suppositories are dosage forms designed to be placed in the rectum where they dissolve and release the drug that is then absorbed across the intestinal wall of the rectum. A common use for suppository drugs is in veterinary patients who are vomiting and cannot take medications by mouth. Suppositories containing anticonvulsant drugs, anti-seizure drugs, may be used by dog owners at home to stop a pet's epileptic seizure. Solid dosage forms in veterinary medicine. Let's explore the challenges and considerations of using solid dosage forms in veterinary patients. The problem with human SR tablets. Human SR tablets are designed to release the active ingredient over the length of the human GI tract, 22 feet or 7 mem. However, dogs and cats have shorter GI tracts, 13 feet or 39 millimolars for medium-sized dogs and 5 to 6 feet or 15 to 18 for cats. This means that SR tablets may not dissolve completely in veterinary patients, resulting in reduced efficacy or the drug passing out in the feces. Gel caps and capsules. Gel caps or capsules are powdered drugs surrounded by a gelatin or modified starch capsule. They can be modified to make them harder, softer, or more stable. However, they're less popular in veterinary patients due to the risk of the animal spitting out the capsule or chewing it. Suppositories, an alternative route. Suppositories are dosage forms designed to be placed in the rectum, where they dissolve and release the drug. They're commonly used in veterinary patients who are vomiting or cannot take medications orally. Liquid dosage forms. Liquid dosage forms are classified as solutions or suspensions. And solutions, drugs completely dissolved in a clear liquid medium, e.g., water, alcohol. Suspensions, cloudy opaque liquids with undissolved drug particles that require shaking before administration. Types of liquid dosage forms. Aqueous solutions, water-based solutions with dissolved drugs, e.g. IV injectable dosage forms. And syrups, drugs dissolved in a liquid sugar solution, and e.g. 65% sucrose solution. Sugar-free syrups, aqueous solutions with added sweeteners like sorbitol or aspartame. Important note, xylitol, an artificial sweetener, is toxic to dogs and should not be used in canine medications. Veterinary technician. One of the disadvantages of using a human SR tablet in a veterinary patient is that the human SR drug is designed to be released over the length of the human gastrointestinal GI tract, and dog and cat GI tracts are shorter than the human GI tract. A medium-sized dog's tract is around 13 feet, 3.9 meter long, and a cat's tracts are typically about 5 to 6 feet, about 1.7 meters long, compared with 22 feet, 7 meters for the average human GI tract. Thus, SR tablets designed to dissolve in the longer human GI tract may not dissolve completely in a dog or cat before they pass out in the feces. Gel caps or capsules are a powdered drug surrounded by a capsule made of gelatin, modified starch, or cellulose, Fig 1.7. Just like with tablets, the capsule itself can be modified to make it harder, softer, more stable, more readily dissolvable, colored, or lubricated for easier swallowing. Although popular for use in human patients, capsules are less popular with veterinary patients because they may stick to the surface of the mouth when administered, making it easier for the animal to spit out the capsule or chew it to release the powdered contents in the mouth. The lozenge or troche, pronounced TROH dosage form, incorporates the drug into a hard, candy-like tablet like those found in human cough drops, throat lozenges for sore throat, or some breath mints. Because veterinary patients never hold these dosage forms in their mouths long enough to receive the beneficial effect, they are not used in veterinary medicine. Although most solid dosage forms are associated with oral administration of drugs, many forms are also formulated to be used as suppositories. Suppositories are dosage forms designed to be placed in the rectum, where they dissolve and release the drug that is then absorbed across the intestinal wall of the rectum. A common use for suppository drugs is in veterinary patients who are vomiting and cannot take medications by mouth. Suppositories containing anticonvulsant drugs, anti-seizure drugs, may be used by dog owners at home to stop a pet's epileptic seizure. Liquid dosage forms. Liquid dosage forms are classified as solutions or suspensions. A solution is a drug completely dissolved in a clear liquid medium. The liquid medium equivalent in chemistry to the solvent can be water, alcohol, or another liquid into which the drug is capable of dissolving. In contrast to solutions, suspensions are often cloudy, opaque liquids in which the drug has been suspended, is hanging in the liquid medium, but has not been completely dissolved. Typically, the drug particles in the suspension will settle to the bottom of the drug bottle, requiring the bottle be shaken to resuspend the drug before the drug is withdrawn from the bottle or administered. Figure 21.8. Failure to completely resuspend the drug will result in a greater concentration of drug near the bottom of the bottle than at the top, and result in unpredictable amounts of the drug that are actually withdrawn with the liquid from the bottle. Solutions and suspensions used in veterinary medicine are further characterized by the way the liquid dosage form is used and the liquid medium into which the drug has been dissolved or suspended. An aqueous solution has a water medium in which the drug has been dissolved. Often, drug molecules are chemically modified by adding a sodium, potassium, or chloride molecule to the drug molecule to make the drug totally soluble, i.e., able to be dissolved in the water medium, e.g., the potassium ampicillin. Aqueous solutions are often used as intravenous IV injectable dosage forms. Syrups are drugs dissolved in a liquid sugar solution, e.g., 65% sucrose solution. The sugar solution is designed to mask the unpleasant taste of the active ingredient and to act as a preservative. Diluting a syrup solution with water lowers the sugar concentration of the syrup, potentially making this solution an excellent nutrient base for the growth of yeast and bacteria. Thus, dilution of syrups is not recommended. Sugar-free syrups are aqueous solutions into which other sweet-tasting compounds like sorbitol or aspartame have been added. One artificial sweetener that should not be used with dogs is xylitol, pronounced xylitol. Although xylitol is tolerated by humans and found in many sugar-free gums, candy, peanut butter, and human oral solutions, ex-commercial gabapentin, xylitol in dogs causes a massive release of insulin. This insulin release is due to the absorption of xylitol into systemic circulation in dogs that does not occur in other species. In the dog, this results in a hypoglycemic, low blood sugar crisis and/or damages the liver, possibly resulting in death. Thus, compounding pharmacies, where the pharmacist creates a dosage form, should never create xylitol-based syrups for use in dogs. You need to know, why shouldn't sugar-free human syrups be used in dogs? Xylitol is an artificial sweetener found in many sugar-free gums, peanut butter, and human prescriptions. In dogs, xylitol causes a massive release of insulin, causing blood sugar to drop as the insulin moves the glucose from the blood into the tissues. In some cases, this drop in blood sugar, i.e. glucose, has resulted in a hypoglycemic crisis resulting in death. More recently, it has been shown that xylitol can also produce significant liver damage. Thus, xylitol-based syrups should never be used in dogs. Tinctures and elixirs are alcohol-based solutions used for oral or topical on the surface of the skin application. Many drugs are insoluble, unable to be dissolved in water. Thus, to create a true solution for these drugs, an alcohol medium may be required. In herbal medications, the active ingredients are often extracted from leaves or other plant parts using alcohol to form herbal tinctures. Although most tinctures are alcohol-based, there are non-alcoholic tinctures where glycerin or vinegar is used in place of the alcohol. Elixirs tend to have sweetening agents added to the alcohol to help mask the taste of the drug or the alcohol medium. Elixirs are typically associated with oral use, but tinctures can be used both orally and topically. Because the alcohol taste is often very strong with elixirs or tinctures, they are difficult to administer orally to veterinary patients. It is important to remember that topically applied tinctures have an alcohol medium, and if they contact an open wound on the skin, the tincture will cause a great deal of pain. Although technically tinctures contain a higher percentage solution of ethanol, i.e. alcohol, than elixirs, the differences between these two dosage formulations are of little practical concern for the veterinary technician. Because alcohol and water do not mix, alcohol-based dosage forms should not be diluted with water. An emulsion is a liquid suspension composed of two liquids that do not readily mix. Thus, an emulsion can be thought of as one liquid suspended in a second liquid medium. Diet supplements that contain dietary oils suspended in water are an example of an emulsion. Propofol, a short-acting injectable anesthetic agent, is another example. Because one liquid, typically the drug or active ingredient, is suspended and not dissolved in the second liquid, an emulsion typically appears as an opaque or cloudy white or tan-colored liquid, and if left alone will usually settle into two distinct layers of liquid. Like any suspension, an emulsion should be stirred or shaken to resuspend the active ingredient before the emulsion is dispensed. Many liquid lotions are emulsions of oil and water plus additional ingredients that help keep the two liquid layers from separating. Topically applied lotions include hand creams, antibiotic lotions, antifungal lotions, or antiseptic lotions. Liniments are topically applied liquid dosage forms that may be an emulsion, a solution, or a suspension. The characteristic of a liniment is that it is always applied by rubbing it into the skin. Balms are an example of a liniment dosage form. Liniments are most commonly used in equine medicine to reduce muscle stiffness in racehorses, or as alcohol liniments used to cool horses through the evaporation of the alcohol component and the vasodilating effect of the liniment itself. Other dosage forms used in veterinary medicine. Semi-solid dosage forms are those that are neither liquid nor solid and include dosage forms such as ointments, creams, pastes, and gels. Ointments and creams can be either suspensions or solutions that liquefy at body temperatures when applied topically to the skin, eye, ear, or mucous membranes. Fig 1. By liquefying, the ointment or cream can more readily spread across or into an area, such as the ear canal. In veterinary medicine, ointments are more commonly used than the thicker emulsion creams found in human cosmetic preparations. In contrast to semi-liquid creams and ointments, pastes are semi-solid, orally administered suspension dosage forms that tend to keep their semi-solid form at body temperature. Pastes are commonly packaged in large plastic syringes for administering deworming medications orally to horses, cattle, sheep, and occasionally dogs. Gels are drugs suspended in a semi-solid or jelly-like form, such as toothpaste or certain human cosmetic preparations. Liquid dosage forms in veterinary medicine. Let's explore the different types of liquid dosage forms and their uses in veterinary medicine. Why sugar-free syrups can be toxic to dogs. Xylitol, an artificial sweetener, is commonly used in sugar-free syrups, gums, and peanut butter. In dogs, xylitol causes a massive release of insulin, leading to hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, and potentially life-threatening complications. It can also cause liver damage. Therefore, xylitol-based syrups should never be used in dogs. Tinctures and elixirs. Tinctures and elixirs are alcohol-based solutions used for oral or topical application. They're often used to extract active ingredients from plants. However, they're not suitable for veterinary patients due to their strong taste and potential toxicity. Emulsions. Emulsions are liquid suspensions composed of two liquids that don't mix. They're often used in dietary supplements and anesthetic agents. Emulsions require shaking or stirring before administration to ensure the active ingredient is evenly distributed. Other liquid dosage forms. And liniments, topically applied liquid dosage forms often used in equine medicine to reduce muscle stiffness. Our lotions. Emulsions of oil and water used to moisturize or treat skin conditions. Semi-solid dosage forms, ointments, creams, pastes, and gels used for topical application or oral administration. Key points. Sugar-free syrups containing xylitol are toxic to dogs and should be avoided. Tinctures and elixirs are not suitable for veterinary patients due to their strong taste and potential toxicity. Emulsions require shaking or stirring before administration. Semi-solid dosage forms are used for topical application or oral administration. A needle and syringe are used to administer injectable dosage forms. Injectables are often referred to by the type of container in which the drug is supplied. For example, ampules are dosage forms in which the drug is contained within a small, airtight, thin glass bottle that is opened by snapping the narrow neck of the ampule bottle, figure 110. Drugs contained within ampules typically do not have preservatives, therefore the entire contents of the ampule are intended to be used at one time and must be filtered to remove glass particles created when the neck is snapped. Vials are thicker glass bottles with rubber stoppers, through which the drug is withdrawn with a sterile needle and syringe. Vials may be multi-dose vials, in which multiple doses can be withdrawn over time, or single-dose vials, in which all the drug is used at once. Most injectable drugs in veterinary medicine come in the multi-dose vial form. The single-dose vial is most commonly used with vaccines. The rubber stopper on multi-dose vials should be kept clean to prevent inserted needles from carrying bacteria or contaminants through the rubber stopper and into the vial. In addition to the standard injectable dosage form, injectables can also be classified as repository or depot forms. This dosage form is formulated to allow a slow absorption of the drug from the administration site, providing more sustained drug concentrations in the body over time. Typically, depot injectables are oil-based injectables that do not readily dissolve in the water-based tissue fluid or are manufactured so that the active ingredient is formed into crystals that take longer to dissolve and release the active ingredient. Implants are a special type of injectable repository dosage form in which a solid object containing the drug is injected or inserted under the skin. Once in place, the implants are designed to dissolve or release medication over an extended period, weeks to months. Where can a veterinary technician find accurate drug information? With the advent of the internet, a good deal of information on veterinary drugs can be obtained with a few keystrokes on the computer. However, there also exists a great deal of misinformation regarding veterinary drugs. Veterinary professionals must use only drug information that is supported by clinical research and extensive testing and regulated by the appropriate watchdog agencies, e.g., FDA. Unfortunately, for many so-called minor species, e.g. sheep, goats, llamas, wildlife, zoo animals, and many laboratory animals, there is very little clinical trial information or solid medical evidence on the safe and effective use of veterinary drugs. In those species, much of the information is anecdotal or based on the experience of veterinarians working with these species. Although this anecdotal information is sometimes the only available information the veterinarian or veterinary technician has for a minor species, one must remember that this information has not undergone the rigorous testing or clinical research required to be an FDA-approved veterinary drug. Label and extra label information. Generally, the most accurate drug information for a particular product, including the most recent changes in the drug formulation, dosages, or warnings, precautions, will be found in the drug insert or package insert, which is the manufacturer's documentation inserted into or attached to the side of each bottle, package, or box of medication. The drug insert will contain the information that is mandated by FDA regulations for veterinary drugs, but will only contain that information for which the manufacturer has done the mandated testing or otherwise documented in compliance with FDA requirements. Thus, this information in the drug insert or package insert and printed on the drug label would be considered to be the label information. Unfortunately, advances in clinical veterinary medicine typically occur much faster than a manufacturer can complete testing and receive a new drug use approval for an existing drug. Indeed, it is often not cost-effective for a drug manufacturer to spend the thousands to millions of dollars to get FDA approval for every new use, new means of administration, new species use, or new dose for their drug. Instead, veterinarians often use drugs in an extra label manner, meaning they are using the drug in a manner other than the FDA-approved dose, route of administration, disease, condition, or species listed on the drug label. Extra label or off-label use of veterinary drugs is permissible by federal law under certain circumstances. However, because of the potential threat of veterinary drug residues finding their way into human food or food products, the FDA regulates how drugs can be legally used in an extra label manner. Injectable dosage forms and finding accurate drug information. Let's explore the world of injectable dosage forms and how to find reliable information on veterinary drugs. Injectable dosage forms. Injectable dosage forms are administered using a needle and syringe. They come in various containers, including ampules, small airtight glass bottles that are opened by snapping the neck; vials, thicker glass bottles with rubber stoppers, available as multi-dose or single-dose vials; depot forms are formulated for slow absorption, providing sustained drug concentrations; implants, solid objects containing the drug, inserted under the skin for extended release. Finding accurate drug information. With the vast amount of information available online, it's crucial to rely on credible sources. Look for information supported by clinical research, extensive testing, and regulated by watchdog agencies like the FDA. Label information found in the drug insert or package insert includes approved uses, dosages, and warnings. Now, extra label information, permissible by federal law under certain circumstances, but requires careful consideration and monitoring. Key points. Injectable dosage forms come in various containers, each with specific handling and administration requirements. Rely on credible sources for accurate drug information, such as the FDA and clinical research studies. Extra label use of veterinary drugs is permissible, but requires careful consideration and monitoring to ensure safety and efficacy. Extra label drug use in veterinary medicine. Extra label drug use, ELDU, is the use of a drug in a manner that is not specifically approved by the FDA. While ELDU is permissible under certain circumstances, it's crucial to follow strict guidelines to ensure animal safety and prevent harm to humans. Requirements for permissible extra label drug use. To use a drug in an extra label manner, the following conditions must be met. 1. A licensed veterinarian must order the drug. 2. A valid veterinarian client-patient relationship, VCPR, must exist. 3. The health of the animal would be threatened if the drug is not used. 4. No FDA-approved veterinary drug for the particular disease or condition can already exist, or the existing drug would be clinically ineffective. 5. The use of the drug to enhance production of food animals is strictly prohibited. Additional requirements for food animals. For food animals, additional requirements include: 1. An extended withdrawal period must be observed. 2. The veterinarian must ensure the identity of the treated animal is maintained. 3. The veterinarian must take steps to prevent the treated animal or its food products from entering the human food supply. Label requirements. The label of a drug used in an extra label manner must include: 1. Name and address of the prescribing veterinarian. 2. Name of client, patient, and species. 3. Date of dispensing the drug. 4. Established name of the active ingredients. 5. Drug strength and quantity prescribed. 6. Number of authorized refills. 7. Expiration date of prescription. 8. Detailed administration instructions. 9. Cautionary statements, if applicable. 10. Withdrawal time or discard time for milk, eggs, or other human food products. Drugs never to be used in food-producing animals. The FDA prohibits the use of certain drugs in food-producing animals, including 1 cephalosporins, except cefepime, 2 chloramphenicol, 3 clenbuterol, 4 diethylstilbestrol, DS, 5 fluoroquinolones, 6 furazolidone, except topical uses, 7 nitrofurazone, except topical uses, 8 phenylbutazone in female dairy cattle, 9 sulfonamide drugs in lactating dairy cattle, except approved uses. Remember, ELDU is a serious responsibility and requires careful consideration and adherence to guidelines to ensure animal safety and prevent harm to humans. Requirements for permissible extra-label drug use. For a drug to be legally used in an extra-label manner in veterinary medicine, the following conditions must be met. A licensed veterinarian must order the drug. A valid veterinarian client-patient relationship, VCPR, must exist. The health of the animal would be threatened if the drug is not used. The use of the drug to enhance the production of food animals is strictly prohibited, e.g. growth promoters. No FDA-approved veterinary drug for the particular disease or condition can already exist. Or if such a drug exists, the veterinarian determines that for the particular patient in the VCPR, the existing drug or its dosage form would be clinically ineffective. There are additional requirements for ELDU in food animals that could potentially be used for human consumption. An extended withdrawal period or withdrawal time, i.e. time between last dose and when the animal can be slaughtered for meat or food products such as eggs or milk, can be used, supported by scientific documentation, if available and applicable, must be used in any animal treated with the drug. The veterinarian must institute procedures to ensure that the identity of the treated animal is maintained and that the prescribed withdrawal time is observed. If scientific information on the safety of this drug in human food is not available, the veterinarian is responsible for taking steps to ensure that the treated animal or its food products do not enter the human food supply. Information that must be on a label for veterinary or human drugs used in an approved or extra label manner in veterinary patients. Any drug that is used in an extra label manner must contain the following information on the label of the container in which the drug is dispensed. Name and address of the prescribing veterinarian. Name of client, patient, and species. Date of dispensing the drug. Established name of the active ingredient in the drug, not the trade name. If more than one ingredient is used, all ingredients must be listed. Drug strength and quantity prescribed. Number of authorized refills. Expiration date of prescription. Detailed information about how the drug is to be administered, including the species on which it is to be used, the specific animals that are to be treated, identifications such as ear tag number, what dosage and frequency, the route by which the drug is to be administered, and the duration of therapy. Any cautionary statements from the veterinarian, e.g. a warning of potential harm to the person administering the drug, threat to the environment if spilled, a specific withdrawal time, time between last dose and when animal can be sent to market, or discard time for milk, eggs, or any human food that might be derived from treated animals. Drugs never to be used in food-producing animals. According to the FDA, as of June 2022, these are some of the drugs that are never to be used in food-producing animals. A more extensive list can be found on the FDA's website, https www.ecfr.gov. Current, Title 21, Chapter L, Subchapter E, Part 530, Subpart E, Section 534.1. Cephalosporins, not including cefepime, antibiotic in cattle, swine, chickens, and turkeys. I, for disease prevention purposes. I, at unapproved doses, frequencies, durations, or routes administration. Or ILI, if the drug is not approved for that species and production class. Chloramphenicol, antibiotic. Clenbuterol, bronchodilator used in horses with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Diethylstilbestrol, or DS, estrogen hormone. Fluoroquinolones, an antibiotic family that includes enrofloxacin and marbofloxacin. Furazolidone, except for approved topical uses, antibiotic. Nitrofurazone, except for approved topical uses, antibiotic. Phenylbutazone in female dairy cattle, 20 months of age or older, anti-inflammatory. And sulfonamide drugs in lactating dairy cattle, except for a few sulfas approved for this specific use, antibiotic. Controlled substance or schedule designations, the C and IL in the drug heading in Fig 1.11 indicate that the drug is a federally controlled substance or schedule drug. This refers to the classification or schedule of the abuse potential for these drugs. The Roman numeral II indicates the general level of abuse potential for the drug and the required degree of regulatory control based on the level of risk for diversion of the drug into illicit or illegal drug sales. Categories or schedules of controlled substances range from a designation of CI to CV. The higher the value of the Roman numeral, the less the abuse potential of the drug. Drugs classified as CI, and pronounced as the letter C in 1, have the highest potential for abuse. Drugs classified as CV, C5, have the least. Controlled substance storage and use regulations are discussed in greater detail in Chapter 2. A somewhat recent addition to the drug, heading by some publishers, has been the phonetic spelling of the drug, as shown in brackets below the trade name in Fig 111. This is helpful for the veterinary professional when communicating the drug name to other veterinarians, veterinary technicians, physicians, or pharmacists. The non-proprietary name, e.g. pentobarbital sodium, is printed in smaller type below the boldface name and phonetic spelling and usually includes a descriptor of the dosage form, e.g. tablets, syrup, or injectable. In the example in Fig 111, the heading states that the drug form is for injectable use. United States Pharmacopeia designation. The U.S. designation in the non-proprietary name stands for the United States Pharmacopeia, USP. The USP is a non-governmental organization that sets the standards for drug manufacturing quality, purity, and consistency for any drug sold in the United States. And the USP designation provides some assurance that the drug was produced in a manner that delivers predictably consistent effects and has been manufactured to the standards required for drugs manufactured in the United States. Finally, the heading may have a separate line that conveys additional information about the drug. In the example in Fig 111, the heading indicates that the dose form also comes in ampules and vials. Active versus inert ingredients. The drug information in the paragraphs after the heading is organized into different categories for quick information access. Typically, the first paragraph following the heading is the description or composition statement, which describes the physical characteristics and ingredients of the drug or drug combination. The active ingredient, which is the part of the drug that produces the intended beneficial effect, is identified by the generic name of the drug. Any inert ingredients, such as any preservatives, stabilizers, liquid media, or other additives that make up the dosage form, should also be listed in the composition statement. Although the inert ingredient list is often not given much attention, veterinary professionals need to remember that some inert ingredients can produce adverse reactions in veterinary patients. Indications. One of the next paragraphs or statements is the drug's indication. The indication is the approved reason for which the drug can be used. When a new drug is developed and tested for FDA approval, the manufacturer must state for what specific indication the drug is to be used. If approved, this approved indication will appear on the drug's label. For example, a sulfonamide antibiotic might have an indication or be indicated for treating a urinary tract infection. Even though the sulfonamide antibiotic might also be effective in treating a skin infection, the drug manufacturer cannot list treatment of skin infections on the label unless the drug company specifically tested for and received FDA approval for this indication. Thus, using the sulfonamide antibiotic to treat a skin infection would be considered an extra label use, and the veterinarian would be professionally liable for ensuring that the drug would be used safely and the use meets governmental guidelines for extra label drug use. Precautions generally. A precaution either describes a mild adverse reaction, some predictable change in clinical state or the patient's condition, or some other effect that typically doesn't require much medical intervention. A precaution may also contain information that is provided to consumers for their own information. For example, stomach upset caused by ingesting aspirin is considered a mild side effect in humans and is included under the precaution heading. Other precautions include do not drive while taking this medication, drink plenty of water when taking this medication, or this medication may change the color of the urine. In most cases, precautions need to be communicated to DENTs when dispensing the medication for their pet or animal, or noted on the patient's record as information to the hospital staff monitoring the patient. The veterinarian is obligated to use his or her clinical judgment to decide whether the benefits of the drug outweigh the potential side effects listed under the precautions. For some drugs, the listing of precautions can be extensive and include clinical signs or adverse effects that are rarely observed in clinical patients. However, by listing all of the precautions, including even the mild side effects, the drug manufacturer has legally informed the veterinarian of the potential side effects or adverse reactions and placed the responsibility for administering the drug on the veterinary professional. Warnings are more serious or frequent side effects than those found in the precaution section and constitute adverse drug effects that could potentially do significant harm to the patient. Some resources group both precautions and warnings together because it is sometimes difficult to clearly differentiate when a side effect becomes severe enough to warrant being classified as a warning instead of a precaution. Examples of warnings might include the potential for a severe drop in blood pressure from certain heart medications, the inflammation and skin sloughing that can result if an IV-administered drug is accidentally administered outside of the vein, or the development of neurologic side effects from high-dose administration of the drug. Because many of the adverse reactions in the warnings section are clinically significant and potentially life-threatening, veterinary professionals have a moral and ethical obligation to thoroughly understand the key points of warnings and to inform the client or owner of the potential problems that may arise. Drugs that have warnings are still able to be given if the veterinarian feels the potential benefit outweighs the risk. Black box warnings. A black box warning, black label warning, or boxed warning is the strongest warning the FDA can require a drug manufacturer to include in their drug information. The information is, as the term implies, surrounded by a black box so that the contained information is clearly visible to the reader of the drug insert. Black box warnings typically contain adverse effects that have a significant risk for severe or life-threatening effects. Examples of this would be the boxed warning that certain antidepressants can cause suicidal tendencies in adolescents, or that the administration of some blood thinners can cause fatal hemorrhage. Contraindications. Contraindications are circumstances or conditions in which the drug should not be used. For example, a patient's severe and life-threatening allergy to penicillin is a contraindication for giving the drug. A contraindication can also be a situation in which there is a high risk for permanent damage to the patient and for which the drug manufacturer feels that the risk for injury is too great to leave the use of the drug to the discretion of the veterinarian. An example of this would be the way enrofloxacin, an antibiotic commonly used in veterinary medicine, is contraindicated in young, rapidly growing dogs because of the risk for malformation of developing joint cartilage and subsequent development of arthritis as the dog ages. If the veterinarian or veterinary technician fails to heed a known drug contraindication and the animal suffers injury or dies as a result of administration of the medication, the veterinary professional may have little defense against a claim of malpractice. Dosage and administration. Only the FDA-approved dosage and method of drug administration will be listed under the dosage and administration section of most references, unless the reference also cites additional extra-label dosages or administration methods taken from the veterinary scientific literature. As mentioned previously, this FDA-approved dosage and route of administration should achieve drug concentrations in the body that produce the intended beneficial effect with minimal toxicity in the majority of patients. However, as stated by Rule Number 3 earlier, these official FDA-approved dosages are meant to be the starting place for calculating the dose a particular patient actually needs given the disease state and the physiologic state of the patient's body. When applicable, information on treatment for drug overdose, withdrawal times, or other relevant information meant to inform the veterinarian or protect the manufacturer from litigation will also be listed in the drug information. The FDA and individual drug manufacturers want to know when an adverse reaction is observed with a veterinary drug. Thus, veterinarians and veterinary technicians are encouraged to report detailed information surrounding suspected adverse events to the FDA or the drug manufacturer. See You Need to Know box, How to Report Adverse Drug Effects, for information on how to report such suspected adverse drug events. You need to know how to report adverse drug effects. The FDA's toll-free phone number for reporting adverse drug reactions, 1-888-FDA-VETS, is available from 7 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. EST, with next-day callback service available after hours. The FDA website has an online form that can be completed and submitted to report an adverse drug effect. www.fda.gov, Animal Veterinary Safety Health, Report a Problem. A written letter can also be sent to the FDA at the following address: ADE Reporting System Center for Veterinary Medicine, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, 7500 Standish Place, Rockville, MD, 20855-2773. Most drug manufacturers have technical service veterinarians to accept reports of drug reactions or discuss problems or concerns with their drugs. These phone numbers or other means of contacting these companies can be found by typing in the company name plus adverse drug event into almost any web search engine. The United States Pharmacopeia, USP's Veterinary Practitioners Reporting Program for reporting adverse reactions, as mentioned in the third edition of this textbook, is no longer available. Self-assessment 1. Fill in the following blanks with the correct item from the key terms list. A. This term means the application of pharmacology to specific treatments. Therapeutics. B. This name of a drug is often written as a description of the drug's molecular formula, chemical name. C. This name of a drug is an approved name for the active ingredient and is not owned by one particular drug manufacturer or company, generic name. D. This is the component of the drug's composition that performs the beneficial effect. It is often the same as the generic name active ingredient. E. This is the name of the drug that is owned specifically by one particular drug company. It is trademarked or copyrighted by that drug company brand name. F. This is the governmental regulatory agency in the United States that controls drug approval, Food and Drug Administration, FDA. G. This describes a drug that is manufactured by another drug company other than the original manufacturer, generic equivalent. H. This describes a therapeutic agent that is created from specially prepared plant or animal parts, natural product. I. This is a type of drug that can be legally obtained without a prescription, over-the-counter, OTC. J. This describes a group of drugs that can only be obtained through dispensing by or on the order of a licensed prescriber, Legend drugs, prescription drug. Okay, this is the legal term for the arrangement for treatment that exists between a veterinarian, an animal owner, and the animal veterinarian client-patient relationship, VCPR. L. This term is a description of the physical appearance of the drug, dosage form. M. This is the solid dosage form created by compressing powdered active ingredients and other inert ingredients together to form disc-shaped dosage forms. Tablets. N. This term describes the inert ingredients in a solid dosage form that may include binders, disintegrants, diluents, or flavoring coloring agents, excipients. O. This describes a solid dosage form made from powdered drug and compressed into an oblong shape for easier swallowing, caplet. P. This is powdered drug mixed with lactose or other sugars and made into a dosage form that is chewable tablet. This type of tablet covering prevents a tablet from dissolving in the acidic environment of the stomach by enteric coating. R. This is a solid dosage form in which the dose form slowly dissolves to allow for a more gradual release of active ingredient over a longer period of time. Sustained release, SR, tablet. S. This is powdered drug surrounded by a capsule made of gelatin, modified starch, or cellulose, capsules, gel caps. T. This describes a dosage form wherein the drug is incorporated into a hard candy-like tablet and is meant to be held in the mouth until dissolved, lozenge, trochet. U. This is a dosage form administered by being placed in the rectum, suppositories. V. This term describes the liquid into which a drug is suspended or dissolved, medium vehicle. W. This is any type of liquid dosage form in which the drug is floating in an undissolved state, suspension. X. This is any type of liquid dosage form in which the drug has been dissolved, solution. Y. This is any type of liquid drug solution in which the medium is water, aqueous solution. Z. This is any liquid dosage solution in which the medium is a sugar solution, syrup. AA. This is an artificial sweetener sometimes included in sugar-free syrups, but should never be given to dogs, xylitol. AC. These are alcohol-based solutions used for oral or topical application, tinctures, elixirs. AD. This term means the drug is unable to be dissolved in the liquid medium like insoluble. AE. This is a type of suspension formed from two liquids that do not readily mix, emulsion.
Here are the answers to the additional questions. AB. This is a topically applied liquid dosage form that is rubbed into the skin to produce its beneficial effect. Answer, liniment. AF. This is a semi-solid dosage form that liquefies at body temperature. Answer, cream. AG. This is a semi-solid dosage form that retains its shape at body temperature. Answer, ointment. This is an injectable dosage form contained within a small glass vial that is opened by snapping the vial apart at the narrow neck of the vial. Answer, ampule. AI. This is an injectable dosage form that is formulated to be absorbed over a prolonged period of time. Answer, depot form. AJ. This is a special injectable dosage form that is solid but is injected under the skin and releases medication over weeks to months. Answer, implant. AK. This is the term that describes the manufacturer's drug information and is either inserted into each drug container or attached to the drug bottle. Answer, package insert, drug insert. AL. This is the information on any drug that describes the specific use and administration of the drug that has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA. Answer, label information. AM. This term describes any use of a drug in a manner other than the use or manner that has been approved by the FDA. Answer, extra label drug use, ELDU. And those drugs with the potential for abuse that are more tightly regulated by the government. Answer, controlled substance schedule drug. AO. This is the non-governmental U.S. organization that sets the standards required for all drugs manufactured in the United States. Answer, United States Pharmacopeia, USP. AP. These are the ingredients in the drug compound that include preservatives, stabilizers, or other additives other than the active ingredient. Answer, excipients, inert ingredients. AQ. This is the term that means the label-approved use for the drug. Answer, indication. AR. This term describes any effect of a drug other than the intended effect that occurs within the normal therapeutic range. Answer, side effect, adverse drug reaction, ADR, as this term describes a mild adverse reaction or some predictable side effect that does not typically require medical intervention. Answer, amount of precaution. At this term describes more serious or frequent side effects that could potentially do harm to the patient but are not severe enough to preclude the drug from being used. Answer, warning. AU. This term describes the strongest warning the FDA can require a drug manufacturer to include on a drug label. Answer, black box warning, boxed warning. AV. This term describes circumstances in which the drug should not be used. Answer, contraindication. AX. This organization is responsible for approving drug names in the United States. Answer, United States Adopted Names, USAN Council. A. This is the term used by the FDA to determine whether generic drugs are equivalent to the parent drug. Answer: bioequivalence. AZ. This is the legislation that gives veterinarians the right to prescribe drugs for extra-label use in veterinary patients. Answer: Animal Medicinal Drug Use Clarification Act of 1994, AMDUCA. BA. This is the period of time between the last dose and when the animal can be slaughtered for human food or its food products can be sold. Answer: withdrawal time period.
Welcome to Who Wants to Be a Veterinarian. You are a contestant on this fun and interactive game show where you'll answer questions about veterinary pharmacology. You'll have the chance to win virtual prizes and become a veterinary expert. Here's how to play. I'll present a question with 4 possible answers. Choose the answer you think is correct. If you're right, you'll move on to the next question and earn points. If you're wrong, the game will end and you'll have to start over. Let's begin. Question 1. What is the term for the application of pharmacology to specific treatments? A. Pharmacology. B. Therapeutics. C. Toxicology. D. Veterinary medicine. Choose your answer. Correct. Therapeutics is the application of pharmacology to specific treatments. You earn 10 points. Current score, 10 points. Question 2. What is the name of a drug that is often written as a description of the drug's molecular formula? A. Generic name. B. Brand name. C. Chemical name. D. Trade name. Correct. The chemical name is a description of the drug's molecular formula. You earn 20 points. Current score, 30 points. Question 3. What is the component of a drug's composition that performs the beneficial effect? A. Active ingredient. B. Inert ingredient. C. Excipient. D. Vehicle. Correct. The active ingredient is the component that performs the beneficial effect. You earn 30 points. Oh, current score, 60 points. Game continues until all keywords have been played. Let's keep going. Question 4. What is the name of the government agency that controls drug approval in the United States? A. FDA. B. USDA. C. EPA. D. CDC. Correct. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is the government agency that controls drug approval. You earn 40 points. Current score, 100 points. The dosage and administration section provides the FDA-approved dosage and method of administration for a specific drug. This information serves as a starting point for calculating the dose for a particular patient, taking into account the disease state and the patient's physiological condition. Veterinarians and veterinary technicians play a crucial role in reporting suspected adverse drug effects to the FDA or the drug manufacturer. This helps to identify potential safety concerns and ensures the safe use of veterinary drugs. To report an adverse drug effect, you can call the FDA's toll-free phone number 1-888-FDA-VETS, 1-888-332-8387. Submit an online form on the FDA website, link unavailable. Send a written letter to the FDA, AD Reporting System, Center for Veterinary Medicine, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, 7500 Standish Place, Rockville, MD, 20855-2773. Contact the drug manufacturer's technical service veterinarian directly. In conclusion, understanding the information provided in drug labels and inserts is crucial for veterinary professionals to ensure safe and effective use of medications. This includes being aware of precautions, warnings, contraindications, and dosage and administration guidelines. Additionally, reporting suspected adverse drug effects is essential to identify potential safety concerns and promote animal health. This concludes our lecture on veterinary pharmacology. I hope you have gained a better understanding of the importance of accurate drug information and responsible reporting practices.
Welcome to Who Wants to Be a Veterinarian. You are a contestant on this fun and interactive game show where you'll answer questions about veterinary pharmacology. You'll have the chance to win virtual prizes and become a veterinary expert. Here's how to play. I'll present a question with 4 possible answers. Choose the answer you think is correct. If you're right, you'll move on to the next question and earn points. If you're wrong, the game will end and you'll have to start over. Let's begin. Question 1. What is the term for the application of pharmacology to specific treatments? A. Pharmacology. B. Therapeutics. C. Toxicology. D. Veterinary medicine. Choose your answer. Correct. Therapeutics is the application of pharmacology to specific treatments. You earn 10 points. Current score, 10 points. Question 2. What is the name of a drug that is often written as a description of the drug's molecular formula? A. Generic name. B. Brand name. C. Chemical name. D. Trade name. Correct. The chemical name is a description of the drug's molecular formula. You earn 20 points. Current score, 30 points. Question 3. What is the component of a drug's composition that performs the beneficial effect? A. Active ingredient. B. Inert ingredient. C. Excipient. D. Vehicle. Correct. The active ingredient is the component that performs the beneficial effect. You earn 30 points. Current score, 60 points. Let's keep going. Question 4. What is the name of the government agency that controls drug approval in the United States? A. FDA. B. USDA. C. EPA. D. CDC. Correct. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is the government agency that controls drug approval. You earn 40 points. Current score 100 points. Question 5. What is the term for a drug that is manufactured by another company other than the original manufacturer? A. Generic equivalent. Correct. A generic equivalent is a drug manufactured by another company. You earn 50 points. Current score 150 points. Question 6. What is the term for a therapeutic agent created from specially prepared plant or animal parts? A. Natural product. B. Synthetic product. C. Generic equivalent. D. Brand name. Correct. A natural product is a therapeutic agent created from plant or animal parts. You earn 60 points. Current score 210 points. Question 7. What is the term for a type of drug that can be legally obtained without a prescription? A. Prescription drug. B. Over-the-counter OTC. C. Legend drug. D. Controlled substance. Correct. Over-the-counter OTC drugs can be obtained without a prescription. You earn 70 points. Current score 280 points. Question 8. What is the term for the arrangement for treatment that exists between a veterinarian, an animal owner, and the animal? A. VCPR. B. VPCR. C. CVPR. D. CPR. Correct. VCPR stands for Veterinarian Client-Patient Relationship. You earn 80 points. Current score 360 points. Question 9. What is the term for the physical appearance of a drug? A. Dosage form. B. Formulation. C. Composition. Correct. Dosage form refers to the physical appearance of a drug. You earn 90 points. Current score 450 points. Question 10. What is the term for the inert ingredients in a solid dosage form? A. Excipients. B. Active ingredients. C. Vehicles. D. Additives. Correct. Excipients are the inert ingredients in a solid dosage form. You earn 100 points. Current score 550 points. Welcome back to Who Wants to Be a Veterinarian? Question 11. What is the term for a solid dosage form made from powdered drug and compressed into an oblong shape? A. Tablet. B. Capsule. C. Caplet. D. Lozenge. Choose your answer. Correct. A caplet is a solid dosage form made from powdered drug and compressed into an oblong shape. You earn 110 points. Current score 660 points. Question 12. What is the term for a type of tablet covering that prevents a tablet from dissolving in the acidic environment of the stomach? A. Enteric coating. B. Sustained release coating. C. Controlled release coating. D. Film coating. Correct. Enteric coating prevents a tablet from dissolving in the stomach. You earn 120 points. Current score 780 points. Question 13. What is the term for a solid dosage form in which the dose form slowly dissolves to allow for a more gradual release of active ingredient? A. Sustained release tablet. B. Controlled release tablet. C. Extended release tablet. D. Delayed release tablet. Correct. A sustained release tablet allows for a gradual release of active ingredient. You earn 130 points. Current score 910 points. Question 14. What is the term for a powdered drug surrounded by a capsule made of gelatin, modified starch, or cellulose? A. Capsule. B. Tablet. D. Gel cap. Correct. A capsule is a powdered drug surrounded by a gelatin or cellulose capsule. You earn 140 points. Current score 1050 points. Question 15. What is the term for a dosage form wherein the drug is incorporated into a hard candy-like tablet and is meant to be held in the mouth until dissolved? A. Lozenge. B. Troche. C. Tablet. D. Capsule. Correct. A lozenge is a dosage form that is meant to be held in the mouth until dissolved. You earn 150 points. Current score 1200 points. Question 16. What is the term for a dosage form administered by being placed in the rectum? A. Suppository. B. Enema. Correct. A suppository is a dosage form administered rectally. You earn 160 points. Current score 1360 points. Question 17. What is the term for the liquid into which a drug is suspended or dissolved? A. Vehicle. B. Medium. C. Solvent. D. Excipient. Correct. A vehicle is the liquid into which a drug is suspended or dissolved. You earn 170 points. Current score 1530 points. Question 18. What is the term for a liquid dosage form in which the drug is floating in an undissolved state? A. Solution. B. Suspension. C. Emulsion. D. Syrup. Correct. A suspension is a liquid dosage form with undissolved drug particles. You earn 180 points. Current score 1710 points. Question 19. What is the term for a liquid dosage form in which the drug has been dissolved?
Correct. A solution is a liquid dosage form with dissolved drug particles. You earn 190 points.
Current score 1900 points. Question 20. What is the term for a liquid drug solution in which the medium is water? A. Aqueous solution. B. Syrup. C. Elixir. D. Tincture. Correct. An aqueous solution is a liquid drug solution with water as the medium. You earn 200 points. 2. Identify the meaning of the following acronyms. ADR, Adverse Drug Reaction. AMDUCA, Animal Medicinal Drug Use Clarification Act of 1994. ELDU is Extra Label Drug Use. EPA is Environmental Protection Agency. FDA is Food and Drug Administration. OTC is over-the-counter. SAR is Sustained Release. USAN is United States Adopted Names. USP is United States Pharmacopeia. VCPR is Veterinarian Client-Patient Relationship. 3. Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. A. Veterinarians can legally use drugs in an extra-label manner to treat animals that will be used as human food. True. B. The symbol indicates that the drug is restricted to use only by a veterinarian. False. C. Legend drugs are to be dispensed only with a prescription or on the order of the veterinarian. True. D. Flea treatments applied to the animal's skin, but that require absorption into the body to work, would typically be regulated by the EPA and not the FDA. True. E-veterinary journals usually have more recent information than veterinary textbooks. True. F. Websites with .gov are probably reliable websites for veterinary drug information. True. G. A controlled substance with a Schedule 3 would have greater abuse potential than a Schedule 2 drug. False. The following statement would be considered a warning. Do not administer this drug if the patient is allergic to it. False. 4. You are speaking at a local high school about the veterinary technology profession. Answer. Veterinary technicians play a crucial role in the veterinary healthcare team, and understanding pharmacology is essential for their role. They assist veterinarians with administering medications, monitoring patients, and educating clients about medication use. Even though they can't prescribe drugs, they need to understand pharmacology to ensure safe and effective treatment. 5. The veterinarian has given a client a prescription. Answer. A generic drug is a copy of a brand name drug with the same active ingredients. The main difference is the price. Generic drugs are often less expensive because the manufacturer didn't invest in research and development. Yes, generic drugs are equivalent to brand name drugs and are just as effective. 6. An owner reports an unusual side effect for a drug the veterinarian prescribed. Answer. The owner should report the side effect to the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine or the drug manufacturer. This helps monitor the drug's safety and identify potential issues.